expose of the same old story that I heard yesterday. Yeah, it goes the headlines, man. They all just go to plan. They're framed and fixed and rigged. You know they're all just spam. So buckle down, plug right in, and close its way under your skin. Just got bow from the things they spout, and it won't make you shout. Give me that good news, because I'm tired of the same old shit. That good news, because I'm tired of the same old shit.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the grounds with Giles, Jones, Slagle. And man, I'm keeping Cappuccino, and Kelsey. Yeah, love. Hope everyone had an awesome week. Welcome to the show where we talk about everything from peanut butter to politics, but no politics, especially right now. Holy cow, we wouldn't get out of the building. But welcome, guys. We hope. Thanks for tuning in to see us today. We want to thank some of our advertisers today.
Yeah.
Kent, go ahead and take it away and give them the info.
Big shout out to our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center. Of course, if you're stressed, they can help you be blessed. A little deep tissue massage, whatever you need.
Yeah, hot stone.
Yeah, 815-385-8190, www.mchenrymassage.com. And our good friends over at JH Events and Flowers, 2 locations, one in Fox Lake across from the train station, the other across in McHenry, across from the City Hall. Absolutely great stuff. $5 Friday. You want a little bouquet? You can get it for $5. Great stuff going on. Today we've got 20 questions. And of course, up on the screen, you're going to see Uncle Pete, God rest his soul. He's got the URL for this show. Drop that into your address line up there and be part of this incredible show. So today we've got 20 questions. And the topic is don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. And we're not talking about Scott's love life this morning. We're actually going to be, this one is specifically for
Did
Scott.
Deidre call you or something?
Yeah, it's cold out. It's cold out.
It's cold out today.
All right.
Shout out to Don.
Yeah.
Hey,
Don?
Yeah.
look
Don,
at
morning.
He's in the house. Good morning.
I'm
Yeah,
kind of
full
scared now
studio.
because the first one's going to me.
Well, this is
Am I awake enough? Hold on.
This is everybody.
Hello?
So the idea with 20 questions is we'll let it rip. You got about 30 seconds to a minute to answer. And then if we roll into a little bit of a discussion, but then I'll move on with another question. But 20 questions is always good.
So the moderator will keep us going.
Yeah. So here's the first question. Without saying comfort zone or fear of the unknown, why do people not step through new doors when they know the majority of the time there's something fantastic on the other side? Go.
One more time.
You can't use comfort zone
Without
and
saying
fear.
comfort zone or fear of the unknown, why do people not step through new doors when they know the majority of the time there's something fantastic on the other side?
A lot of times people are just happy with where they're at and they don't want to screw it up. So they're like, I'm good with where I'm in.
Complacency.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they're just complacent. Or, fear is nerve, but you know what I mean? They're happy where they're at and they don't want to potentially, even though they think it's something awesome, they just don't know. And I feel like a lot of people tend to catastrophize something that they don't know, and we're our worst enemies. So they're not going to do it because they're talking themselves out of it. I mean, I can totally relate to that. That was me for many years. So I would say, yeah, just the complacency, not wanting to rock the boat. I mean, people are comfort. They like to be comfortable. They have their own.
Can't say that.
Oh, I didn't say comfort zone. I said
You're
people are
fired.
comfortable.
Fired.
Well, I gave my answer, and then I had. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Ms. Lev, what you got?
No, I mean, I agree. I think that's where a lot of us look in the mirror and we battle with ourselves back and forth. Because it's like, well, we're already successful. Why would I want to go through this other door? But then some people that are like, fuck it, I'm just going to try something new. So
I think everybody's just too burnt out. I see this
Ooh.
all the time, and I work with these people on a regular
Interesting.
basis. People hire me to change their business for them.
Yep.
And then when you go to do so, the actual process of doing so, even though it's so easy and so simple, they're so burnt out. It terrifies them. They don't anything extra, no matter how great the result might be, is too much work. Anything more than what you are already doing to sustain. And I think that's an unfortunate amount of people these days
And
that
think
are
about
sustaining.
And think about that when the New Deal could actually be better for them, right? And not have them as stressed out, but because they're so stressed out, they're not going to take that leap.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's a vicious cycle for people. And I totally get it.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't think a lot of people do. And I don't think people will talk about it. Right. Because of, I'm going to use the word fear, but a fear of like talking to somebody else and being judged on not doing it. So in themselves, it's just like, I'm better off not doing it.
But like it's the same thing as asking, why doesn't every person on the planet own their own small business? Right? Everybody has something they would like to do. Why doesn't everybody own their own company?
Yeah, not everybody's meant to.
Well, right, but not everybody has what it takes to step up and make it
Well,
happen.
they do.
They
do if they wanted to learn it or to grow,
absolutely.
right?
But a lot of people go to work every day knowing that they could do the job that they're doing better than most of the people at their company, than their boss, than the company itself, that they could go off on their own and do it better. And some people, they do. And they're wildly successful. Now, some people, they fail. But the huge, vast majority of people don't ever try at all.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't ever try at all, even though they know they could be successful.
Yeah, and that's
They don't want the
that's a
liability.
right.
You know,
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest. I don't know if you can hear me in your headphones over there.
Sure.
Complacency is a bitch, isn't it? It's one of those things. You think the grass is greener, but it's not. As an entrepreneur, I can tell you, I'm not meant to work underneath other people because I find what they're doing, they utilize a lot of ego to make them feel like they're leaders. And they're not. They had a crew that built the company. They sit on top of it. They step on enough heads to reach for the stars. And if it doesn't work out, they're able to blame them and replace them. I think that going through a door of the unknown for people who are just meant to be, they're better off being told what to do. They feel comfortable with that.
Can't use that word.
Therefore, they stay where they're at. Some people don't even look through the door at the other opportunity that would be there. They just know that I make this much money by doing this. I might not be super happy doing it.
Right.
I'm not looking to level up. This is what I want to do moving forward. So I think there's a couple factors. It's hard to do without saying those two words.
It's very hard to do. It's easier too
Yeah.
for people because people, and laziness.
Yep.
I mean, that was one of the words I was going to use is they're
Well, let's
they're
just
lazy,
say-
but I don't know the people. So, but you could put that because if they're already stressed out, right,
I would
and
say
you have an
fear.
opportunity to better yourself and move forward. He said, basically, our question is,
Well, if
Why
you're
don't
in
you
the
wanna do
industry, If you're, Kels, right? Would you go open your own grocery store?
Yes.
You would?
Yes.
Some people wouldn't.
Well,
they're
right.
in
A lot of
it. They're
people
like, I would
right.
never want this.
right? Well, and
You know?
she would probably do that because she sees beyond,
She
right?
I'm a nerd.
Right. So, I mean,
Well,
most
she's
people,
awesome at what she does.
Right.
too.
right,
I'm a
but most
nerd,
people
that's
will look
why.
at something, and
Yeah,
me
we're
included,
nerds.
for
We're
many
nerds.
years, when you look at something, you're going to see this great opportunity, but then you're going to start to catastrophize it and throw all the negatives at you and be like, well, I'm much better here because they're going to take they're going to take all the real responsibility, right? Because there is a lot more to running a business than what a lot of people think, right?
Yeah.
It does look very easy on the outside, and it can be if you get yourself dialed in and get your processes and things, put together well. But
You have all the right who's.
right,
Well, the king or queen's throne is never comfortable.
Morning, Shayna.
Don says, "Hey, the show is much better when I can hear Drew." And he
don't
says,
blow his head up.
And many of them are lying to themselves. People. Shayna,
Yep.
good morning. Says,
Good morning.
We have a knowing that with every step forward, you may need to leave people and routines you love. Not everyone makes it to your next level. Good morning.
Good.
All right, moving along.
morning.
Moving
Q2.
along. Moving along. No matter what the situation, question number 2, no matter what the situation, how do you fully embrace the now?
Kelsey.
No matter what the situation, how do you fully embrace?
Ladies first.
Why am I
The now.
first? No, beauty.
How do you-
Beast before beauty. Somebody go.
Hey. So again, we're doing 20 questions. The panel
I'm too
here
focused on
has
his pink
no
cup
idea
right now.
what the questions are. So
Put it down here.
we're hitting them hard,
It's
and
still
it's
pink.
don't sweat the small stuff this morning. So no matter what the situation,
That's
how do you
right.
fully embrace the now?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious answer, and I'll take that one since I'm going first. So the obvious answer is to remain constantly in the moment. That means no electronic devices, no distractions, nothing that is. If you are prone to working and you have a work phone on you and you are trying to spend quality time with somebody and that phone keeps going off, that's not quality time. You're not living in the moment. You're living half in the moment and half somewhere else. That's not living in the moment.
Shayna says a cup of coffee and spite.
That's, you know what? Cheers to that.
Cheers to
As we drink our coffee. Don says the questions have been hermetically sealed and on Funk and Wagner's porch. Old people will get that reference. I do. Thank you.
Funkin' Wagner, God, that is old.
Wow.
All right, who's going next on that one? How do you fully embrace the now?
I'll take it. So when you are dealing with tragedy from the past or know there's tragedy coming into the future, you have to focus on the now. It's not avoidance. It's you still have to be here now. So you still have to function. So if you know that something happened in the past, or if you know that something tragic's coming into the future, you have to plant your feet, carry the world on your shoulders a little bit, stand tall, focus on your daily, take it piece by piece in order to move forward, because you know it's going to come or it's already happened. There's only one way you can really go, and that's through it or from it. So I think that would be my answer to that.
That's a good answer, because I'm still kind of here sitting there going, kind of almost drawing a blank, you know. I mean, because it's how do I stay? I have an issue with staying present, right? I mean,
at your age, you shoot blanks.
That's right. Yeah. No, but you know what I mean. You get into things, and to Scott, thank you. I appreciate that. It's situational for me, but I mean, to stay in the present, I just have to keep reminding myself, you know, where I'm at and to what is in front of me and dealing with it, because all of us have got, like you were saying, I've got a lot of shit behind me that, you know, kind of tries to creep on my door, and some stuff in front of me that's saying, hey, pay attention to me, and staying here. You know, the word I can use is just compartmentalizing, right? Like trying to shut off those other areas in my brain, and just really trying to focus at that point, because I'm really bad with that. You know, I try to do the quintessential 16 things at one time. And do all of them poorly. So that has been a struggle for me, but I will say that I definitely have been getting better with it, you know. But that, for me, it's just really trying to break it all apart, you know, because we always have something that's going to be on our head, but you need to be present at that moment for whatever situation. I mean, I can tell you I've missed, I don't know how many times, just key components, or, you know, to like a conversation or a deal, because my mind started jumping, because I have a very short attention span. Go figure. No. Right? Exactly.
And the further you stretch yourself thin, the harder that gets for you. So you're working on 18 things at once. There's actually no such thing as multitasking.
Right. No, it's just doing 18 things bad at once.
The brain focuses on one task at a time. So if you have 18 things rocking at a time, you're just dividing your attention span.
You're screwing yourself. You're not doing yourself any
all
justice.
18 tasks are going to get done poorly if they get done.
I agree with what Don's saying there. Being grateful keeps you in the present.
And the fastest way to get in the present, Shayna says, is stub your toe.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Your little one.
Well, some people have rubber bands on their hands.
But hey, let's ask a lady, because look, ladies, moms never get days off, right?
Scott's already answered.
I was just gonna say, Drew's up.
Right? Scott's already answered.
So Kelsey, how do you?
Such a wild
single
man.
mom. You got kid. You're running business. How do you stay present?
I don't know. For me, it would be really like I look forward to my reward in the future. So like I'm helping my child now, and then like this morning he was able to get up, get dressed on his own. So it was like a happy moment. I was like, we worked 6 months for this, and now he can do it. Like that's living in the now, because it's like it shows the success. So
I like
Good
that.
answer.
that's a big thing for me. Like with him with saying like work like 18 things divided. For me, it's all about like I'm a merchandiser. So once those 18 projects are done, I'm like, it's so beautiful. But I find those things beautiful. So.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Don says, I heard it once said we have to avoid always doing things in order
Correct.
to get to the next thing.
But yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. In order to, though, sometimes is your process.
Yeah, but it's okay to break a process.
It can't, right,
That's how
right.
businesses are
But in
successful.
order to do something, you have to do this. So, I mean, if that's keeping you present, not doing the in order to, right? I mean, I think it's definitely different for everybody, and depending on what the subject is, right? I mean, you know, just what the subject, what the issue is. I mean, but at the same token, I mean,
I find the best way is I've taken the advice of Uncle Pete, God rest his soul, and I just got no more fucks in my fuck bucket. Usually, when you're not present, you're worried about what somebody did or somebody is going to do, or something somebody said, or something somebody's going to say. So when your fuck bucket's empty, you just got to be like,
Yeah,
and that's how I stay present. I just sit right in my fuck bucket and it's empty. So.
I call them fuck bucks.
Yeah.
I only put my fuck bucks where they belong.
Yeah.
Pete just
No,
always
away
says, "I
from
got no
where
more
they go.
fucks to give,"
That's right.
and he said that, and I just busted up laughing. I'm like,
It's true.
"No, it is," but it's
Yeah.
it's just such a simple comment, but it's something you don't think about. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss that, man.
We were saying as managers at work, like when people are, constantly hounding us, I'm like, I didn't get one fuck, two fuck, the third fuck's gone.
Yeah. All right. So next question, number 3. How many times per week do you make time to do the things you love?
How many what?
How many times per week do you make time to do the things you love?
7
Once a day.
once a day.
That's
Yeah, I agree.
I have to do something. And I shouldn't say I have to. I want to do something. I push. So for me, my days they're not really scheduled, but they're scheduled. Like I have to do, like absolutely have to do things that have to get done. Want to do's, and then me. So if I can get my have to do's and maybe one or two wants.
Is this your thing? Your one thing today that you're doing for yourself? Is this show? Or what is the one thing you're going to make time to do today for yourself?
Well, after I leave here, I have a big financial seminar downtown Chicago.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah, right. I know.
okay.
Yeah, no, but I mean, so that I'm
Go
doing
start
for
that
me
conversation. It'll
because
be
I
forever.
enjoy real estate. I enjoy that type of stuff. So it's going to help further my knowledge. Hopefully, it'll help push me forward a little bit more in the industry and not flush
I'm gonna
myself
help
down
Scott.
the toilet.
I'm going to help Scott with his answer because it's going to be the same as my answer. I pencil myself in by building the thing that I want to do to make it the thing I have to do. So I'm living and working my retirement.
Just say that one more time.
I'm building the
No.
thing
I
that
want to do so.
So it's going to end up being the thing that I have to do. These studios, this is what I love doing. I pencil myself in for that. I pencil myself in to try to go to the gym, even though it doesn't look like it. I get it.
Well, that's why pencil's erasable.
But if I can build what I love doing and make it the thing that I have to do, then I win.
Right. Well, I mean, I love doing what I do, but there's certain aspects of it that drive me nuts.
Shayna,
So that's why I have to
Shayna
have.
It's not
says,
perfect.
planning to do what you love? ? I'm not familiar with the concept. Who
I don't
does
think
this?
I think most of America isn't understanding that concept. Yeah, I would, and for years I didn't, but I noticed a big shift in me, right, both personally and business wise, when I was able to compartmentalize or to break those down. And I know the best days that I have is when I can actually look back and go, hey, I did hit this, because for many years I was just go, do a million things until I fell asleep. Yeah. But then I wasn't grateful. I didn't look back at it and go, wow, I did all this. Now have fun, do something for myself, even though technically my work is for myself, but like something that not necessarily about making money or moving myself ahead in the future.
Well, if anybody out there really wants to find a piece to have a little piece of what they enjoy doing, if that's watching a podcast.
It is so true.
Eric, man,
Morning, Eric.
Morning. He says, "Happy Eat All
Go
Your Kids
ahead.
Peanut Butter Cups Day,
If
national."
you're looking schedule yourself in to watch something that you love doing. Well, check it out. If you go to the Google box, go to that YouTube channel, 216 Creator Studios. Check out some of our other content.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe. Ding that bell for future notifications so you can get whatever you want coming in the future. Also, don't be afraid to check out our website at 216creatorstudios.com.
There you did it. I love it.
That.
It's good. I'm giving you a double fist pound today, man.
Right into the system.
We're on the same page because you got here early.
All right.
So your brain's working. I like it.
Else?
Almost
And
didn't
let's
notice
ask
it.
the young kids in the room now that we've heard from the old guys.
Okay, what can
All right, Kent.
Who
What do you
work
got to
out
say?
Who
What
work
can I
out of
answer?
their daily planners. Here we go. Let's go.
It's a phone. There's no daily plan.
Dirty planners.
All right, Kels, let's hear it.
I mean, I believe you should still do like 20 minutes a day. Like, I love my job, but what I would do like every day if I had the means to would be just basketball every day, all day. Like, I don't care for anything else, but basketball is like what helps me continue down the path that I'm down because it makes me happy. If I feel happy, then I can be happy at work.
Well,
By saying that, you just lit him up like a Christmas
Well, I mean,
tree.
I have my
right. But
shooter on.
don't you have basketball net at your house or the park that you can go shoot with your little one?
My dream goal is to eventually get a house with a basketball court in the backyard. I build it, rubber flooring, everything's there. Like, that's my goal. So I have to work at work, make money, do whatever I need to do, become successful to get to that goal.
That's what I said. Instead of an in-ground pool, let's put a 3/4 court in the backyard.
Hell yeah.
Adjustable rims so a short fat guy can dunk.
We'll just give you the Fisher.
Did you hear he just called you out, Drew?
That's all right. Hey, SpongeBob was the guy.
He was badass.
Don says most of my fun things are spontaneous, not so much planned. Shayna says I either love it, do it with love, or not, and move on. I can make myself love it, and I do if I can't get out of it. Pollyanna much, she says. I work real hard to love whatever I'm doing. Easier said than done at times, Don says. What do you got over there, young man?
My answer is kind of the opposite of everybody else's. So were you saying you're putting 20 minutes aside or however much aside per day, once a day? I'd say 95% of my life is spent doing things that I love. The other 5% is doing arguably uncomfortable house projects or paying bills or just doing the things to maintain the rest. Taxes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's like, but that's, I mean, I would say less than 5% of my time. 95% of my time is spent just living. And if I'm doing it, it's because I love it. And that's just, I mean, if I'm working, if I'm miserable, that's my own doing. I'm choosing to be miserable. I love what I do. So if I show up and I'm miserable for the day, I got to figure out what's wrong in my own head. Because I do, I love what I do. I love working hard. I like the sense of satisfaction it gives me. I love solving problems and getting things done. I spend 95% of my life doing things I love.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I like what Eric says. He says, I started in August totally planning my days on my online calendar, being a meaningful, specific, not a wandering generality. Great results. And some things fill our bucket, Don says. Some empty our bucket. We have to do both, but don't forget to fill the bucket. I do as I please, Shana says.
No, not you, Shana.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that. All right, let's move on. Question number 4. Ogmandino, one of my favorite authors, Ogmandino once said, "Live every day as if it's your last, embracing each experience as if it's your first." Why is that important in order to not sweat the small stuff?
Throw that one at me one more time.
Live every day as if it's your last, embracing each experience as if it's your first. Why is that important in order to not sweat the small stuff?
I'll grab it.
Please do.
All right. So we've talked about this kind of before. You only have so much time on the blueberry, and you're here. I do believe there is an answer to life, and you're here for the experience of it. And you're going to experience the bad. You're going to experience the good and everything in between. But it's up to you to choose what's really going to, give you the hard day. If it's you're sweating the small stuff, you're not spending the time enjoying the things that you actually enjoy because you're just worried about the little things that don't matter. If it's image, money, materials, cars, toys, if it's whatever. But those are the things that you enjoy, right? So look, that makes you happy.
Yes.
So when you have a bad day, Scott, or you're sweating the small stuff, you jump in one of those nice cars that you got there, take a spin, you probably feel a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think that in order to experience life to its fullest, you have to spend every day like it's your last, or we take things for granted.
Well, it's where it's not appreciating.
Listen, America, we're able to lift up a handle and get water. We don't sweat that.
Right. We don't have to walk 5 miles.
Some people might, but for the most part, we take everything for granted. And I think that if we were to see what we actually have and appreciate it, all the way down to your last breath, I think you will find that there's not enough time in the world. So sweating the small stuff doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, right. And you have to think what is worth your time, right? And when you say sweating the small stuff, sometimes you have to sweat the small stuff, in order to make the big stuff. You have to think about it, but
you don't have to sweat it. I think you have to just focus on it.
Be cognizant that it's there.
Be cognizant, fix it. Problem solve it.
I mean,
like this guy.
That's so. I truly feel I do live my life like every day is my last, because a lot of people give me shit that I'm always doing something. I'm always going here. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, you're the guy that jumps out of a helicopter with skis on top of Colorado mountains.
Right. Because I can, because in 2 years I might not be able to. Like my son and I just went Sunday and we rode our 4-wheelers all day long until I broke mine. The wheels did this.
Not
right?
surprised.
Right? Exactly. But I mean, and I was riding the track and it was doing really well. I was really hitting it hard. And I came and I pulled off. I took my helmet off and all these people looked at me and I guess not awe, because I'm not, but they just look like, what? Because this old gray dude pops out of this helmet that was just ripping around this track and kicking a lot of other people's butts.
Grandpa was killing it.
Right? And the guy looks at me, he's like, you're making me look bad. I'm like, no, I'm not. I said, you're making yourself look bad if you're not doing what you know you can do. And he's like, okay. And I said, I didn't say I'd live every day like I'm going to die, but I said, I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. I'm here with my son who, wanted to go. And I said, so I put everything I've got into it because this is my time. Right. I don't know. I mean, it's been a year since I was able to do that track and it's tough. And so it was great. So yeah, I do live my life pretty much every day because I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I have to.
And there you have the facts of life.
The facts of life. Facts of life. I love that show.
Judy.
Mrs. Garrett.
Judy and Blair.
Mrs. Garrett.
Joe, the tomboy. All right, young kids, what do you got?
So when I hear the question, I hear it more as a commentary on cynicism, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every situation in your life you need to approach as though it's the first time, and that to me means without any prior judgments or expectations, right? You have to live without going into it having a bunch of expectations that you'll let yourself down with, right?
No,
you
$20.
I feel like. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
I'm sorry, that was.
Yes,
I was living life to the.
I'm sorry. What am I getting for $20?
Yeah. Keep your hands above the piano.
You can show me pictures of your sex life later.
Hands on the
Sorry.
But
was meant to go to cup.
So yes, I see it as a commentary on cynicism, which another way to phrase that would be all the comments on gratitude. That would be the flip side of saying the same thing, where when you go into a situation, you would go into it with gratitude, with an open mind, with a different perspective. If your perspective is already clouded with cynicism, then every experience is just going to be dull and just like the last time. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, you're going to make it a bad experience by how you start looking at it.
Right.
So,
all right.
Kels?
There's like two things that come to mind for me. So like when I was growing up, you know how your parents would parent you and you'd be like, I know. But like in reality, there's always still one like hidden eggshell, I feel like, in every experience that you still might experience the same thing over and over. But we won't ever see it because we're too busy on like, well, we already know the answer.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where if we just like take a step back, like the other day I got a flat tire in Springfield and I just called my dad to let him know, but like we all have each other's location. He was like, they create something now where you can actually, it goes into your tire and it helps like with a patch. And I was like, oh really? Like I didn't know that. I'm so used to the old school, like you puncture the hole and then you put the rubber piece
plug in.
And so
I love the fact that you know how to do that.
Yeah. So go to Walmart, and the guy like teaches me how to do it, and my dad's like, "Don't forget about the inner tube, and you have to take the rim off." And I was like, "Oh yeah," because I'm thinking of like a bike, but in reality, the whole time I'm like, "I already know what to do, Dad." And he goes, "No, listen." And I'm like, "That's true. Like we have to just take a moment back."
So I know Shayna, when God started my life off up there, he's like, hey, how about a rocket scientist or every lyric to any 80s show ever? And I'm like, well, that one sounds fun. I'll do that one instead. So Facts of Life, I've got that down. And Eric says, if today was your last, would you be sitting in that studio? He says, nope. And I would say absolutely 100% yes. I do what I love every day. And if today was my last day, the last thing I would want to do is sit around and spend 24 hours moping and going and having people crying over me and going, right. Oh my God, or just celebrating over me, whatever. Every day, Og is one of my, I do that. I embrace and I love every minute of every day because people ask me about jobs and things and coaching. And I'm like, I learn something new every day. My grandma once told me, the day that you don't learn something is the day you die. That's what my mom said, yeah. So I find ways to learn stuff all the time. And I I don't know Matt Barafato. He is the Purpose Hunter. He's got a great show. It's on our 216 The Net radio station platform. But he says we all have a COD, a checkout date. We don't know when that is. That's right. Right. And I take a look at it and go, man, I live every day. When I close my eyes at night, I pray the Lord my soul to take. And if I wake up in the morning, I'm like, whew, thank you, Lord. Here we go. Right. Got another time. Let's rip this. So for me, absolutely would sit here because I absolutely love this. This is what, I absolutely love the people that are on there. And then he goes, for me, life is about embracing the day. Go full S. That's what I do. Yep. I mean, I don't stop until I put my head on the pillow. And when I put my head on the pillow, I'm out. People ask Alice all the time, and my kids, my gosh, he's doing this, he's here, he's there, he's doing this. How do you look, man? When I'm with my family, I love them, and we spend a lot of time and attention together. So for me, absolutely, man. I love what I do. So that there are times where life hits you, but I've got a great support group. A lot of them are sitting around this piano right now, and I can lay it out there, right? If I get stumped or hit that, and then I'm grateful for them, and I move on. And then hey, here we go. So for me, absolutely, I would be right here. Same, whatever. I'd be right here. This was Uncle Pete's House of Zen as well.
Yeah. So with that being said, if you knew, would you want to know your checkout date?
No.
And if so, why?
No.
I wouldn't either, because I think that it would just really cloud everything, because now you'd be trying to jam. Moment. Well, you'd be trying to jam too much into that time, and then you would actually miss the whole idea, right?
Yeah.
Of just of existing.
Although if you knew for sure on the other side, if you knew your checkout date for 100% certain, doesn't that mean you could skydive without a parachute, go swimming with sharks, do anything and everything in the world because it's not your time?
I wouldn't go swimming with sharks, but I'd jump them like fawns.
So you get on the motorcycle and just
he was on water sports.
All right. So with that being said,
I thought he jumped the shark on a motorcycle.
Jacket on.
So
with his jacket on.
You know the checkout date, so you're going to do all those crazy things, but you know that you are going to check out someday. So why not still do those things and get them underneath your belt?
Because you're not trying to shorten your checkout date.
Right.
No, but if that's something, but the way that you went right to that is like, these are things that you might want to do.
Similar, you and Eric obviously have a similar, you go full ass, right? Go ham. And
well, if I'm going to do something, I'm not going to do it half-assed.
There's a logic to that though too. It's like, I'll do something to a point where I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's going to kill me. I don't want my ending date to be today. So sometimes you have to be cautious of what you do. Mm-hmm. You can go ham, but be cautious of what you do. You might be the older guy on the four-wheeler that breaks the wheels and everything else, but there's also grandkids that will miss you by screwing around like that too much. That could cause that to go quicker. It's okay to experience and have that fun. But if you have other people depending on you, you don't want to shorten that time frame, then be aware. You know what I mean? There's a difference to that.
Well, you have to look at each situation differently.
I like what Shana says. I've been with a few that knew their last day was soon. Most spend the last just enjoying the norm and beauty of life. I would have thought differently. Listen, Drew and I have a very close friend who's got a really bad diagnosis. And here's the deal. Right? You can see the finish line. Yeah. Right? That's all. He knows the date. Yeah. You can see the finish line. But here's the deal that I would hate, right? Knowing that is everybody looks at you like,
right. Feel sorry for you instead of just,
how you know what I mean? Right. So I prefer not to know so I can live and make people laugh and love and just have a blast and go, here we go. Right. That's the way. And no, Eric, it's not you stand corrected. You wouldn't be in this studio. I get it, but you'd be in the pizza parlor. You'd be doing what Eric.
But the reason
that's your own thing, man.
The reason I ask that is pure and simply this, because a lot of times when I talk to people like that, all of a sudden they'll start saying, "I want to jump out of an airplane without a parachute, not necessarily without a parachute, but I want to do all these things." And so I go, "Well, then why aren't you doing them?" Right? Look at your risk versus reward factor, right? If this is something you really want to do and understand, you have a time frame to get things done, right? Like I'm not going to ride a 4-wheeler, maybe at 80, but I do it now. I'm not going to ski, do it now. So when somebody thinks about that and they say that, it's like, well, then that's something you really want to do. What's stopping you? Granted, stay around for the grandkids or whatever, but sure. That's something when people say that I somewhat feel bad because it's like, well, then you're not living if this is something you want to do, but you won't do it.
There's moderation is key. So if you're 80 years old and you decide to jump on a 4-wheeler, you're probably not going to do crazy stuff. You're just going to be out there having fun.
Just move around. Depends how comfortable my diaper is.
Yeah, right. How much poop's in it to give you a little extra cushion?
All right, moving on to the next one. Here's a good one. Here's a good one. It is one of the hardest things to do. But in what ways can you truly learn to forgive and embrace unconditional love?
One more time.
Well, I was going to say one more time.
It's one of the hardest things you can do. But in what ways can you truly learn to forgive and embrace unconditional love?
I think that's just.
And on next week's show,
I don't know.
Right.
Wow, hold on, that one's killing me.
See, I don't know. I don't know if it's something that you can learn, as in learn to practice it.
No, learn to forgive.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know if you can. You can practice forgiveness in theory, but forgiveness is a feeling. It's something that you genuinely feel.
I like where you're going. Keep going.
Okay, I think it's just something that happens once you've reached a certain point in any situation. I don't think that we're necessarily learning to forgive and move on. I think it just either happens or it doesn't. If you can learn to heal yourself, you can forgive. And if you can't, then.
Well, I think the key is what you said right there is heal yourself. If you're hanging on to hate, if you're hanging on to the anguish, you're only hurting yourself. It's not hurting the person
that caused it.
Right. So learning to forgive it is a way to move on.
So one of my favorite expressions is that holding on to hatred like that is like trying to kill your enemy by poisoning your own cup.
100%. Listen, as an Italian, that's all I do. I hang on to a lot, and I'm like, one day, and I
use your anger and come to the dark side. Luke.
Let's talk about the unconditional side. My father wasn't the best father in the world, but I loved him unconditionally because he was my father. It wasn't like he was out there, like beating hell out of me with 2x4s or anything stupid like that. But he was a drunk, and I had to carry him home. Best memory was in Chicago, where we lived, coming home from a church function at night. I was 9, picking him up off of the alley to walk him home. But because of the way my father was, no matter what, he might have been a screw up, but he was my screw up. No matter what, everybody's got theirs, right? And even for the stuff that he has done and has treated me in certain ways, even on his deathbed, it was, I had to let it go. I forgive you for everything that you've done, and I love you. It's one of those things that unconditionally, he's my dad, you only get one. And if you have two, then you've got a whole different life and a whole different problem. But I think that learning to forgive is important for yourself.
100%.
You know, more than anything, you nailed it on the head. You're poisoning yourself by thinking you're hanging on to that it's going to do something to the person that did something to you.
So let's hear from the lady, because we know women never. I mean, they'll bring up the littlest thing.
Remember when
25 years ago? So hey, Kels, let's hear it from the woman's. She's like, forgiveness ain't even in my vocabulary. Get
She's
the
like,
fuck
I'll
out of
forgive,
here.
but I won't forget.
you can feel free to unleash. We're good with it.
That's right.
Because men, we do need your perspective.
You're surrounded by a bunch of idiots. So that's
I don't know. He might be in my circle. His answers are pretty
Oh,
common to what I would say.
yeah.
Well, I was
But
going
I
to say, I got nothing to say, which is amazing because I totally resonate with exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
That's
Yeah,
the
straightforward.
thing.
Right.
So
I mean,
So what did he say?
We have to learn within like the healing process. Like he's like, you don't actually just say I forgive you. It's more like you go along the actions with that individual, and eventually, without you realizing it, you forgave him.
It's a call to action.
right. Well,
Yeah.
and the biggest part of it is if you don't, it's like you holding on to those, all that shit. It really does only affect you inside, which can affect your outside world, right? So it's learning to deal with that and understanding that the only person you really are, holding a grudge, the only person that is hurting is you because you're holding that person that pissed you off or caused it. They don't know
He's
that.
like a parrot. He's just repeating everything.
Yeah.
he said.
That's what I said. I don't got much to say.
Don says forgiveness is more of a gift to yourself than to the person you are forgiving. And Shayna follows up by, the more you know yourself, the more understanding of others. Insecure people hurt their own feelings. Understanding is an empath's Achilles heel. It isn't unconditional tolerance.
I like that insecure people hurt their own feelings.
Here's what I'll say. Is I don't think humans, Americans anywhere, the people that are listening to this show or whatever, understand what forgiveness is. Okay, and the whole key here is unconditional love, right? Unconditional love. There's no need for forgiveness. Think of your dog. Your dog shits in your living room. And you get a little upset, you clean that up, but as soon as you walk through the door the next time, that dog is like, hey, wow, you're here, right? Dogs are the best at unconditional love. And you don't forgive the dog. It just goes away, right? So when you're talking about unconditional, your kids do the same. Yes, they do some things to hurt you and whatnot, but in the end, think about the time you were the maddest at Zach. You can't. You're like, right. I don't know, right? My kids, I got 4 of them. They've done some dumb shit in their lives, right?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know if I've ever just gone, hey, we always say because we want to heal, we want to put a Band-Aid on it real quick. Hey, honey, I forgive you, right? Or please forgive me. I'm an idiot, right? But with unconditional love,
I'm going to push back on that.
All right, go for it.
Unconditional love. Listen, I love you. I might not like the things that you do, and I'll hang on to that because I don't like the things that you do, but I still love you. I think unconditional love and forgiveness are 2 different entities. For some people, maybe not. But, I'm one of those friends that when I'm your friend, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you did to me. I'm still your friend. I still love you. And I will bail you out. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure you're okay, regardless of what you've done to me. I might be mad at you for that thing. And so I'll hold it and I'll be angry about it and I'll stay angry about it. But that doesn't mean I hate you. That just means I still love you, but I don't like what you do.
Right. Right. There's an aspect that definitely changes.
That just might be from the Italian. I don't know.
Right.
But that's how I feel.
But I mean,
you basically just defended my statement. You
Well,
never
it just
talked
sounded
about
like you
forgiveness.
don't-
right. But so
You never
with your
talked about
right, but with
forgiveness.
your dog scenario, technically you are forgiving them. They did it. You clean it up. You go on. You're going to love them no matter what.
I don't think you have to
happens.
learn.
But that's just automatic with the dog. That's with an animal. I think that's just kind of like you
I don't
accept
think you
it or
have
you
to
don't.
learn. I don't think you have to learn to forgive. Just like look, when it's unconditional love, it's no big deal. When it's not unconditional love, hey,
You
right?
tell me you've never had a forgive
And that's why
someone that
Don
you
says,
actually
"Hey,
love.
it's more for yourself."
Did
No,
you ever forgive anybody that you actually love for doing something?
I don't think I have.
I have.
I've said the words. We've all said it. Hell, I forgive you.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not.
And it could be a
forgiveness.
segment. It doesn't have to be as a whole. It could be the one thing.
The one, yeah.
Really, and then you're like, you know what? I forgive you. I'm learning to forgive you on that. That doesn't mean that you don't love them.
So
No, right.
Well, why even say to that person, "I forgive you"?
That's why I'm saying unconditional love.
Right.
I think
Because you're hanging on to it.
Shayna's
Right, but they don't know.
Shayna's
So
last
that's for you.
comment, the one that's up higher at the top, that's the one. So that makes a really, really important point about the process of forgiveness in your own mind. If you are, the self-awareness is key, right? If you can look at yourself and you are self-aware enough to identify all of your own flaws, you will not be holding anything against anybody else. It would have to be pretty extreme, because the better you know yourself, the more human you know yourself to be, the more human you know everyone else to be too.
That's right.
Your general level. It's not a case-by-case forgiveness situation. Your general level of being able to brush things off and forgive, is that threshold is just significantly higher for you.
Well, with that being said, I would have to say that when you and I have the mirror, right? Look in my mirror and I find all my flaws. You never tackle all your flaws. That's you.
It's
can
impossible.
Try, but you're an unchanging environment. You are an unchanging environment. As you grow, what you believe in your heart to be true at 100%, I do believe will change one day.
Mhm.
So that you're unchanging. So that creates more flaws. We are meant to be imperfect, which brings back the scenario of enjoy every day for the experience that you're here,
Right.
because that's part of the experience, right? But that was well said. I think you're right. I think everybody's got a good base to what they're saying to this, even online.
Right.
And I can vouch for that. But I think it's based on the individual's belief system and how they feel about things. Forgiveness is based upon you, right? To make you feel better.
Right.
So you can still have unconditional love to it, but you got to let things go in order for you to say, okay, I'll let that go. I forgive. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily you're telling that person. You're telling yourself.
Yeah. I'll stand by my comments. I agree. I agree.
I mean, what you said is not, I mean, if you do love someone unconditionally, you really don't have to forgive them. Really, what you're doing, I think, is you're forgiving your own feelings inside your head. You're not going to say, I forgive you. Inside, you've got to rationalize. I think some people want to rationalize it, right? But you really don't, because if it is unconditional, it shouldn't matter. No matter what they do, you love them. So the forgiveness is really kind of to dial in your own head and be like, all right, to maybe rationalize them. Is that maybe the right word to rationalize? Just be like, okay, it's done. I love them no matter what. I still going to love them. Let's just move on.
See, I think the
Right, like with the dog.
part. I think the unconditional part that Ken's talking about in that regard, though, is like the lack of that decision making in your head. You don't have to go through and weigh out like, should I forgive, should I not forgive? Because it just happens. It's ancillary. It just happened automatically. Yep. The situation is over, and nobody thought about forgiveness because nobody was wronged. Nobody felt wronged. Nobody felt offended. There was no need for forgiveness.
I know. I feel pretty offended when my dog drops a steamer on my floor.
Let him out.
And maybe it's what
Listen,
being
Scott.
presented, but
Scott, I'd quit blaming it on the dog.
Damn kids. Damn
All right.
kids aren't letting them out.
Next
All right,
question.
next question. Here it is. Do you believe in quote unquote live and let live? And if so, what does it mean? Do you believe in live and let live? And if so, what does that mean?
Well, to me, live and let live really just means let the person do what they want to do. It's their life. And don't let it affect
Shayna
you.
was quick on that one.
Why?
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with Don on that.
What?
I don't really understand what that means.
Which one? Which statement?
Oh, he said Shayna.
Yeah, he's
Right,
like,
what did she
like
says?
a white devil or maybe a bunny.
Yeah, so based
that
on
ignorance.
my ignorance to that, I don't.
It's the guitar.
That statement.
It's a guitar growing. It's a distraction. A guitar growing out of your head.
so
I saw that.
That's it.
So by nature, I describe myself as a libertarian and not as a political philosophy.
Oh
So
my
as
God!
a phil-
Yeah, right. Yeah.
as
Allegedly.
no peanut butter. No peanut butter.
He does not. He does not work for the station in any way,
Getting
shape, or
chunky in
form.
here.
But no, as
Do you
as
drive
a
a garbage truck?
as a life philosophy, I believe I consider myself to be a libertarian.
Yeah.
I believe that I should have the right to live however I want to live and be happy, and you should too, doing anything you want
Yep.
as long as it doesn't hurt other people. That's how I take that statement. Live and let live.
Yep.
I'm going to live my life. I'm going to be happy. I hope You live your life to the fullest and you're happy. And if you do things I don't agree with, does it make you happy? Cool. You've lived your life in a way that you find suitable and you didn't hurt me, even though you did things I disagree with. Live, let live. Don't borrow trouble, as my grandma would say.
I like that.
Don't
Don't borrow trouble.
Grandma was smart.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was. Yeah, I mean, just live your life, do your thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your life, and
Stay in your
what
lane.
other people think and what you think of other people's it doesn't matter. Just do it.
Yep.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, my buddy Matt and I, we always say, stay in your lane. It's like a way of like don't you're worried too much about things that don't concern you. If you stay in your lane and focus on the road ahead, you'll be a lot happier.
Mm-hmm. Don't let the outside noise get you, because that's what happens. A lot of outside noise people pay attention to, and they're worried about how other people are living, so they have to make comments on it, which are not needed, which are not, it's just not.
Oh yeah, everybody loves unsolicited comments on their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Oh, I do. I love it. I get it all the time.
I know.
You guys are really good at that.
Hey, Bob jumps in here, says, live and let live, a way of saying that you should let other people behave in the way that they want to and not criticize them for behaving differently from you. Boy, that would change this millennial.
Well said. Well said.
I guess that kind of depends if their behavior is hurting people around you. That would change that.
Well, right. And I mean, I think that's a given. I mean, if you're doing what you're doing and it's not affecting other people, do your thing. Just be you, do you, and don't worry about everybody else, and if that's what they want to do, it's their choice. We all have choices every day. We make tons of choices. If that's what they want to do, hey, if they've thought it through, great. And if they haven't, great. It's not for me to worry. Someone in my family or something, you want to kind of help them along, but they're still going to do what they want to do. You know what I mean? But if you can point out some things, but like you said, people don't necessarily want, unsolicited advice. And that's, at that point, it's kind of, is it worth speaking up to somebody?
Well, the world is filled with unsolicited advice right now. When you go on the internet, I've tried.
Look at this show.
Thank you, folks. So, we love you. We love you.
So I try to consume factual data instead of opinionated data a lot, because the internet is filled with opinionated data.
I don't even bother
factual. I try to go by what the facts. It's hard to argue with logistics and facts, because it's whatever the facts are is what it is. Versus somebody's feeling towards something.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to grab that more than I do the opinions. And then when I get some opinions that make sense, I formulate it to work in my favor. That's how everybody should kind of
I was going to say, isn't that just the way it works?
It works, right. But right now, you turn on the net, the world's on fire. There's a lot of negativity out there. And then you start rolling into that rabbit hole. And then people become the space they're surrounding themselves in, which is that negativity.
Well,
that's why we do what we do here. We like to have fun. We like to laugh, talk.
We like to make people think.
A lot of our shows too.
Right. Well, we like to make people think outside the box, and that was the whole idea behind it, right? Like, I'm probably wrong most of the time, I love but that's okay. But I learned from it.
I think we can all agree on that.
Right. But you know what? I learned from it, and that's why I love all the people that come out to us, because they'll make me look at something, and you guys as well, right? I mean, that's what you said. If you don't learn something new every day, right? And that's, to me, I know I'm not right. I know I don't know everything. I want to learn it, and I want to understand it.
Kels? What do you got?
I mean, live it, let it live is kind of like take it with a grain of salt is the first thing I thought of. Like, let them do you. They can do themselves. I'll do myself. If we intervene, don't get offended.
Right.
So,
don't have to hide it.
Just like that.
Offended. Hovered in front of your face there for a second.
But this day and age doesn't know what that means.
No.
That's more I live, you bow.
It was a great movie, by the way.
Live and let live. Shana says, cool, unless we share space and can't avoid each other. Civility is a commitment from the majority. Nobody gets a free pass from being made fun of. That's how corrections are made naturally. Don says, I don't mind unsolicited advice. We as people need to hear things sometimes, things we may not want to hear. If someone cares enough to share with you, say thank you. Then you can decide if it is good advice or not.
So that's solid, but I do feel like there's a time and place for that. If I'm sitting there going through something major and somebody comes up, starts spilling life advice at me that I didn't ask for, and I find it particularly offensive, there was a time and place. Of course, we all need criticism to help keep us grounded. But I feel like you should be able to, as an adult, go up to people and ask for that constructive criticism when you are ready to hear it. Giving somebody unsolicited advice when they're not ready to hear it is
right, and not feeling.
ineffective.
That's why Don says advice welcomed, instruction not so much.
Right. And then that's where you, as the person taking, being talked at with the advice, you can thank you, or there's times I look at somebody like, I don't need to hear that, but thank you at another
listen,
point, right?
Everybody's got a
it's
Scott.
90%
When you got a Scott, you get advice even if you already knew that when you were 5. I've learned to take that and go, I appreciate that. Well, my filter goes, yeah, you already know all that stuff. Hey, thanks, Scott. Thanks for chiming.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate, even if it's an instruction, I see it on there too, not an instruction. Listen, I'll take whatever it is. I have learned how to filter out the golden nuggets from that, take it and make it my own. I have no problem with that.
Which is awesome.
And then appreciate
Right.
somebody chiming in on that. To get offended these days is just super easy. I don't get offended easily. So,
Comma.
right,
Easily. That was a pregnant pause right there.
I'm only human. I'm human.
Right.
Everybody gets offended to something. But, not as easy as the way the world's working today because, now you got to be careful what you do, what you say, how you say it. We grew up in a world where your mama jokes were like key. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And like hurting somebody's
Dude,
feelings.
if you didn't have the best ones on the
If
playground.
you didn't
Yeah.
have the best, like, how do you hurt your buddy's feelings
Right.
today?
Yeah.
Because he's your buddy. Right now, today, it's like, oh my God, I'm so offended. Well, nobody's ever died from being
Yeah.
offended. And I say that, and I'll keep saying it.
Well, offense is a choice.
Well, it's a
It
big,
is.
Offense
it's
is a
big
choice.
It's a
world.
choice.
I'm guessing one person probably has. I'm
What's
just
that?
saying, died from being offended. Yeah, there's a lot of people in the
Sure.
world. There's been a lot of people. In this
Like, my pearls. And nobody was there with a chaise to slide under her, and she
Right.
just collapsed, and it was over.
It was over. Hit her head in
I've
the back.
never, and you never will.
Well, I never.
And you never will.
Here's to me to answer that question: live and let live, and if so, what does that mean? That means that I live in the now. I don't, people get offended when they start reading into things or getting out over their skis or whatever.
Yeah.
If you truly live in the now, it's like, hey, whatever, dude, right? And when somebody's given me unsolicited advice, my brain works like Peter Griffith. I've got a conversation going in there, and it's like, well,
We're all doing it.
I don't even know who Peter
bird.
Griffin is.
That does not surprise me. So
okay.
I'm having a conversation and going and kind of giggling inside, like, whoa, this is really important to Kelsey, and just let her stay on this role because she's fired up about this and it must mean something to her. So let her just get it right. Let me hold her hair while she's verbally vomiting all over me is what I say. And then I kind of laugh for a few minutes afterwards going, boy, they really got fired up about that for no reason. It was wonderful. It was a great 5 minutes of my life watching this person go on that role. So live and let live is like, hey man, Scott, you give me that Scott talk all day long.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, this is really important to Scott,
It is, and just on that note, because for me, I feel like if I have knowledge and information to share with somebody, whether they use it, whether it's really valid for them or not, and I don't share it, I feel bad because that's the one thing that we can do for each other is we can help each other move forward and understand things by sharing our experiences. My technique.
Your heart's
My
in the right
technique,
spot.
right? My heart's there. You go. My heart's in the right spot. My technique is flawed because it comes across as you guys make it joke.
And we already
Scott
know that.
talk, right? And so that's right. So you can take it
Right.
that way, right? And for me, I appreciate that because when I was a kid, I would have loved. At least I'm now as I'm an adult, going, man, that would have been nice had maybe somebody done that to me, right? Where I actually, for me as a kid, believe it or not, I was questioning. I would go to the older people. I would ask them questions, right? Instead of people coming to me because I wanted to know these things. And so for me as a kid, I'm thinking that people also want to know that but are afraid to ask, right? Or embarrassed because they have an issue and I might know a sentence to it.
So what I've learned to do
You're
with
such
Scott,
a dick some days.
what I've learned to do with Scott is I've learned to, because my brain was already going, like, is he still talking? What is he
Yeah.
talking about?
No, we love Scott.
So I go like this. I'm like, all right, so nod 1, 2,
So-
3, nod 1, 2.
And you lose
3,
all that
and then-
beautiful
and then,
knowledge.
but sooner or later, you stop talking.
So
That's all.
I just
You and Ken are meant for each other,
You
you
know-
bald motherfuckers.
for Scott and Kent, I understand where you guys are coming from as far as processing the advice. I just want to make this distinction really quickly. The reason I have the position I have that nobody should be giving unsolicited advice is because in order to say that you would receive that advice, you have to know the person giving it, and you don't. You just don't. Somebody might mean well by saying something that oh, hey, pick up your coat when you come through the door, whatever, something basic, right? Somebody else might think that they're being helpful by being like, really? You're gay? That's not good. You shouldn't do that. Like, that's unsolicited advice as well. The person speaking, you don't know who's got what. That's why opinions are usually better left to people who ask for them than just given freely.
Right. But I don't, a lot of
in
times
general.
I feel, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of times, or most of the time for me, it's not, the information that comes out of my mouth is not opinion. It's a fact that I have discovered and not figured out, but I'm going to use figured out and want to share, right? Like when I get things and I understand things and things have helped me become better emotionally, physically, mentally, business wise, I like to share that shit because it's like, it's an aha moment. And so for me, I do it purely out of love and a big heart, not to say that you're substandard or you don't get it, but it's, hey, by the way, this is what you need to do if you didn't know. And then if you didn't know, you know it, now you do, and then you can pass it on. If you did, you'd be like, Scott's an asshole. Why has he got to give me a TED talk?
Well, I mean, he'd be the guy who'd be like, hey, dude, that's a fire. Don't put your hand in it. Oh, thanks, Scott. I was about to put my hand in
When
it.
have I ever said anything obvious? I don't share obvious
what
because if
time
you
is
don't
it
get
now?
if you don't get obvious, there's a problem already, right?
Common sense.
Common
Is
sense,
that
right?
very
And
common?
which
I
the
get
world
that.
lacks hugely.
Everybody at this table, it has pretty good common sense.
Oh no, everybody here is awesome. Everyone here is awesome, but we all have different things that we're smart at and understand.
Well, like, I know you, so if you gave me advice, I would listen. But if I didn't know you and you came up to me on the street,
Well, I don't give advice to people I don't know.
I didn't know the difference. Well, okay, see,
Right.
there's a difference too. But if you just randomly came up to me on the street, never met you before, and you gave me advice on what I was wearing, I'd be like, go fuck yourself,
I'd
bro.
expect
The
you to
fuck?
punch
Are you
me.
kidding me?
Shayna says, Scott, your authenticity makes you worth listening to. Imperfect and your truth don't change. Listen,
I love
folks,
you,
we're
Shayna.
right at the back end of this. Hey, you know what?
Really? Damn.
In the know with Steph and Joe, going to kind of roll out with this too. Their topic today is if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And that comes out of my mouth once a week.
So listen, don't sweat the small stuff, right? Remember that all is a
Depends on the
gift.
person.
But the most precious of all gifts is life and love. Keep your spirit free. Be flexible. Let go. Spend as much time with a 2-year-old as possible.
So you guys hang out with
Right
me a
there.
lot.
Right? And
If
then,
you have an ice cream truck, that can go way wrong.
and do this. Look, pause momentarily before everything you do so that you notice everything you should or could notice. Next Wednesday, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. So listen to what I'm saying. Just be.
Listen, guys, the one thing that I want to say is work hard and be nice to people. Life is simple. Go out there and be the change you want to see in the world. And thank you for tuning in every week and sharing with us at your time, your efforts, and your thoughts, because that is what makes the world go round. Thank you. Have a great day. And don't forget to vote.
See you next week.
See you next week.